All right, so today we're really diving deep into the benefits of breastfeeding.
Yes.
We're going way beyond just, the simple breast is best. We're talking like real science, real specifics.
Absolutely.
And we're going to really unpack all the reasons why it's so good for both baby and parent. And our main source for all of this juicy information is this awesome article from the Cleveland Clinic.
Excellent.
So I'm super curious to unpack this with you.
Yeah, it's one thing to hear those broad strokes, like breast milk is good, but this is about understanding the how and the why behind those benefits.
Exactly.
Both right away and then these long-term things as well.
Yeah, we know you're probably up to speed on the basics. You know breast milk, you know it's good for babies.
Right.
But this article goes deep, highlighting protection against some really specific conditions. And I got to admit, a few even surprised me when I was reading through this.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, for example, necrotizing enterocolitis.
Yeah.
It's a really serious gut issue that some newborns face. And breast milk can actually significantly lower that risk.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Especially in those early weeks when they're just so vulnerable and their little systems are still developing. But what is it about breast milk that makes it such a powerhouse against something like that?
It really comes down to some of the unique components in breast milk. Like, for instance, there's something called lactoferrin.
Like a what?
Lactoferrin.
Okay.
It's an iron-binding protein. Now, I know that sounds kind of complicated.
Yeah.
But basically, it acts like a bouncer for your baby's gut. So it keeps harmful bacteria from being able to use iron to grow. And often, those bacteria are the culprits behind issues like NEC.
So it's not just about, boosting the baby's immune system, but like you said, it's about controlling the environment in their gut.
Yes.
Making it inhospitable to that bad stuff. That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
And that's just one example.
Okay, so what about, I know you mentioned being surprised by the cavities connection.
Yes.
I mean, who knew?
Right. Because when you think about it at first, you're like, how could there be a link there?
Yeah.
But it turns out that certain sugars that are present in breast milk, they're less appealing to the bacteria that love to cause tooth decay.
Okay.
And not only that, but breastfeeding actually promotes saliva production, which helps to neutralize the acids in the mouth. So it's like this two-pronged defense system for those little tiny teeth.
So fascinating how something, again, that we think of as so simple, you just feed the baby, is actually this intricate, perfectly designed system.
Right.
And it adapts too, right?
Absolutely.
Like the composition of breast milk changes as the baby grows.
Exactly. Because obviously a newborn's needs are vastly different than, say, a 6-month-old's.
Right.
And so breast milk is not just this one thing. It's this dynamic fluid that's constantly adjusting its levels of fats, proteins, antibodies, you name it.
Oh, wow.
All those things to match exactly what that baby needs at that developmental stage.
That blows my mind. Okay, so we talked about how incredible it is for building a baby's immunity, but what about other developmental areas? This article mentioned something about brain-boosting benefits.
Yeah.
I've got to hear more about this. Brain-boosting benefits, you say. Tell me everything.
Well, breast milk contains a unique blend of fats, including one called DHA, which is crucial for brain development, particularly in those first 2 years when synapses are forming at an incredible rate.
So it's like giving those little brains the premium fuel they need to wire themselves for success. I love it.
Exactly. And remember how we talked about breast milk changing over time? Well, the levels of DHA actually increase as the baby gets older, coinciding with periods of rapid brain growth. It's like this perfectly timed delivery system for optimal cognitive development.
That's incredible. It really highlights how nature has this all figured out, fine-tuning things we barely even understand. But hold on, it's not just a one-way street, right? The article also dives into the benefits for the breastfeeding parent. What can they expect, both short-term and in the long run?
Right, let's shift gears to the often overlooked benefits for the parent. In the short term, breastfeeding releases oxytocin, often called the love hormone, and for good reason.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this love hormone and what it does.
Beyond promoting that feeling of bonding and well-being, oxytocin is key for postpartum recovery. It actually stimulates uterine contractions, helping it return to its normal size more quickly. This can mean less bleeding and cramping after delivery.
So it's not just an emotional benefit, but a physical one too. That's fascinating. And what about those long-term advantages we hear so much about?
This is where it gets really interesting. Studies have shown that breastfeeding can significantly reduce the risk of developing certain types of cancer.
Okay, that's huge.
Yeah.
Which cancers are we talking about specifically?
The research is strongest for breast cancer, but there's also evidence linking breastfeeding to a reduced risk of ovarian and endometrial cancer. These are some serious health advantages that extend well beyond the breastfeeding journey.
Absolutely. And I remember reading something about osteoporosis too.
You're right. During pregnancy, the body pulls calcium from the bones to support the baby's growth. Breastfeeding actually helps restore that bone density more quickly, offering some protection against osteoporosis later in life.
It's amazing how something so natural can have such profound and lasting impacts on a parent's health. And I know weight loss is often a hot topic when it comes to breastfeeding. What's the real story there?
Right, it's true that breastfeeding does burn extra calories, but it's not a magic bullet for weight loss. Everyone's body is different, and there's so many factors involved: genetics, diet, exercise.
So it's not a guaranteed side effect, more like a potential bonus if other lifestyle factors align.
Exactly. It's about setting realistic expectations. Now, beyond these physical benefits, we can't forget the incredible bonding experience breastfeeding offers.
Absolutely. There's something so primal and beautiful about that connection. What's happening on a deeper level during those moments?
Well, we've got oxytocin and prolactin working their magic, creating those feelings of love and attachment in both parent and baby. But it's more than just hormones. That skin-to-skin contact, the eye contact, the smell, they all contribute to building a secure attachment.
It's like they're hardwired to connect in this incredibly intimate way. And let's be real, there's also the convenience factor.
Absolutely. Breast milk is always ready, always at the perfect temperature, no bottles to sterilize, no late-night formula runs. That can make a world of difference, especially in those early days of sleep deprivation.
Talk about a lifesaver. And speaking of saving, isn't there also a significant cost savings associated with breastfeeding? Formula can be incredibly expensive.
You're right. Formula it can cost hundreds of dollars per month, putting a strain on many families' budgets. Breastfeeding, on the other hand, is essentially free, which can be a huge relief, especially when there are so many other expenses that come with a new baby.
No doubt. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from boosting brain development to reducing cancer risks. But this article mainly focuses on the benefits within that first year. What about beyond the 12-month mark? What happens then?
That's a great question and something we should definitely explore. While the World Health Organization recommends breastfeeding for at least the first 2 years of life, many of those benefits we've discussed, they don't just disappear after the first birthday.
So let's delve into that a bit. What can parents and babies expect in terms of continued benefits as they venture beyond that 1-year milestone? So we're going beyond that first year, huh?
Yeah.
What can parents and babies expect when it comes to, like, the benefits of breastfeeding after that 1-year mark?
Well, one of the most significant is that continued immune support for the little one.
Oh, interesting.
Because even after a year, breast milk is still packed with antibodies and those immune factors, and they actually evolve to address the kinds of germs that a toddler is going to encounter as they're, becoming more mobile and exploring the world around them.
That makes a lot of sense, right? It's like they're getting these customized immune system updates, kind of tailored to their environment and what they're being exposed to.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So cool. And what about, like, you're mentioning the long-term health benefits for the parents? Do those kind of keep going too?
Yeah, they do. So those actually continue to compound as well. The longer somebody breastfeeds, the more significant the reduction in their risk for certain cancers, for example.
Wow, that's huge. So it's not just about those first few months. It's really about building this incredible foundation of health for the long haul.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And, the science is still kind of emerging on this, but there's growing evidence that suggests there may even be a link between extended breastfeeding and a reduced risk of developing autoimmune diseases later in life.
Wow. For both parent and child.
Yes, for both.
That's amazing.
It really speaks to how profoundly breastfeeding can impact the body's overall resilience.
Totally. And beyond the physical, like, what about just the emotional aspect of it all? I imagine that bond, just gets even deeper after that first year.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Breastfeeding beyond a year can be this incredibly beautiful way to connect, to offer comfort, and to really navigate the emotional ups and downs of toddlerhood together, because it is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it's a source of security and familiarity in a world that's constantly changing for them.
Yeah. It's like this unspoken language that they share.
Yeah.
This deep-rooted understanding and connection. Really remarkable. But I imagine there might be, like, some misconceptions or even judgments surrounding extended breastfeeding. Have you encountered that?
Yeah, unfortunately there can be. But the reality is it's such a deeply personal decision, and there's no right or wrong answer. Every family is unique. Every child is unique.
Absolutely.
And what works for one may not work for another. So the most important thing is just providing support accurate information, and a judgment-free space for parents to make the best choices for themselves and their children.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it's important to mention that there are so many fantastic resources out there for families who do choose to breastfeed beyond a year, like lactation consultants, support groups, tons of online communities.
Absolutely.
So no one have to, navigate this journey alone.
Absolutely. Support is key at every stage, but especially, when you kind of get beyond some of those well-trodden paths.
So well said. As we start to wrap up our deep dive into, the multifaceted world of breastfeeding, what's one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with today?
I think more than anything, I hope they gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and the brilliance of breast milk,
Yeah.
and just the profound impact that it has, not just on the baby's development, but like we talked about, on the parent's health and well-being as well. It's really a testament to just the interconnectedness of our bodies and the incredible power of nature.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
And, it makes you realize, how much more there is to uncover.
Right.
How much we still don't know about this incredible process.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of science and discovery, right? There's always more to learn. There's always more to explore.
So to our amazing listener, keep asking questions, keep seeking knowledge, and keep those deep dives going. This is just the beginning.
And never underestimate the power of your own intuition and your ability to make those really informed choices for yourself and your family.
That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the incredible world of breastfeeding. We'll catch you next time for another insightful exploration.